Yesterday on the channel, I talked about major issues that AAA game studios are facing, and we also talked a bit about Palworld near the end of the video. Now, similarly, this video will also talk about the AAA industry a bit, and also Palworld, but much shorter and with some comedic stuff that I want to show you. So if you missed yesterday's video and want a more serious analysis of the issues facing the industry, consider checking that out if you missed it. And for this one, as mentioned, I hope you get a laugh. GameSpot.com had talked about a Naughty Dog senior artist, Del Walker, making a tweet that said, "My gut is telling me Palworld was made nefariously." And after people began to see that tweet and criticize the take, well, it seems like he deleted it. However, screenshots are still out there. As we have another tweet, this one with 9,100 plus likes, talking about the situation, where Peter Ovo says, the Naughty Dog developer says that making a game is hard, so Palworld is quote-unquote cheating somehow. Another developer seems to support him. Disgraceful. At least wait for proof of this quote-unquote cheating before accusing them. So I should clarify, there's actually multiple deleted tweets here. Let's take a look at this. At the top, Del Walker had said, "My gut is telling me Palworld was made nefariously. I just have no proof. Just dev intuition." Nina says, "It does feel like that, doesn't it?" And then Del responds saying, "Making a game is just so difficult. They're cheating somehow. I just can't pinpoint how." Peter Ovo's second screenshot shows the bio of Del Walker, which reads, "Senior artist at Naughty Dog and BAFTA, committee judge, previously at Respawn and Rocksteady Games." And the final screenshot shows Nina Kloss's bio, which reads, "Tech artist at Sumo Digital Ltd, Leamington working on Stampede Racing, they, grad DMU, MCV 30 under 30 2023, ASD, all views are mine." Now, as people began to criticize these tweets, for example, once again, Peter Ovo's tweet with almost 10k likes saying disgraceful, at least wait for proof of this cheating before accusing them. Well, Nina has gone into protected mode and Del Walker hasn't, but for the third time now, he's deleted those tweets. So make of all that what you will. Del Walker did actually respond to Peter Ovo's tweet saying, "You're right. I should have waited for proof before posting. That's fair criticism. Although, other people are finding evidence of things we suspected, so I'll let them to figure out the facts. Hopefully we're all wrong. Much love, dude." Now, on one hand, it's good that he admitted that he was essentially wrong and he should have waited for proof before posting what he did. And also, he said it's fair criticism, so that's good on one hand. But on the other hand, he then doubles down on saying that people are finding evidence of the things that they suspected, but that's not really the case. There has not been any evidence found of those things. Like, if evidence did come out and he said that, okay, fair enough. But it hasn't. Pale Horse Ram actually pointed this out in a response to him, saying, "Respectfully, what you linked is not proof of anything. People are not finding evidence of anything. They are making allegations. Why do you guys feel so threatened by this game? You're part of one of the most praised studios in gaming." And a tweet by Cameo said, "You linked to something that is a rumor like it's proof. Then you pretend to not know better just because it's really hard for you to say that you were wrong. Disgusting behavior." Del Walker wasn't done there, by the way. 3 hours ago, he did say this: "Being a game dev is tough. Being a game dev on Twitter is just masochism," with a response from Jacob saying, "Game dev is hard, but let me attack another dev because they made something I can't." And there's one more thing too, where his bio had apparently said previously, senior artist at Naughty Dog. It seems like Del has taken that part out of his bio for whatever reason. Although he also had prior tweets talking about him being a senior character artist over at Naughty Dog, so interesting. I wonder if he took that out of his own accord, or if Naughty Dog was like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, you can't say stuff like that and have us in your bio." Who knows what actually happened. All in all, I just found that to be rather funny, and some of the overreactions to Palworld to also be rather funny. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Pokemon. Like, there's plenty of times where I've talked about Pokemon, and like my literal Twitter bio says I'm from Spikemuth, which is like a reference to Sword and Shield, and the coolest city in Sword and Shield. But I think Palworld is cool too. I like it. It's been a fun game. Like, it's downright hilarious at times. Like some of the stuff in Palworld and the pals, and it's like at times it's cute, at times it's disturbing, at times it's hilarious, and it's just an entertaining game. There's a few things I think are too similar to Pokemon, but not not saying that where it's like I'm offended or I'm accusing them of anything. For me, it's just like originality. From an originality standpoint, there's just some things where I'm like, why is that so similar to Pokemon? For example, like even the name of Pocket Pair. Like, why Pocket Pair? you already know Pokemon's like Pocket Monsters. So I was like, why Pocket Pair? Maybe there's a totally good explanation for it that I just don't have. But like, that's one thing where to me, again, it's not a big deal at all. I'm just like, why? Another one for me that was like, it's so similar is like in Pokemon, you have a Pokedex, right? But in Pal World, you have a Pal Deck. Not super similar, but you can see it's not like completely different. So that's like a little similar too. But I also understand that in Japan, it's very common for people to pay homage to things. Like you see this very often in anime, where it's like you might have a newer anime reference an iconic older anime, whether it's a scene or like a character outfit or something, or a line, right? So it could be just as simple and innocent as that. Like the Pal World devs are just kind of paying homage to some of these other intellectual properties, and it's like nothing malicious at all. But whatever the reason is, it doesn't seem like it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be at this point in time. Now, if at some point it comes out that like some of the stuff they're accusing Pal World of, actually there's like actual evidence of it, well, that would be a different story. But that's not the case right now, and I think some people should probably dial back the heat a little bit because they're just making themselves look exceptional and silly. Interestingly enough, on the topic of development too, by the way, there was this interview, which we're not going to read the whole thing of. I mean, if you want to check it out, it's on automatonmedia.com. But a few things here real quick. So this is Mizobi, the CEO of Pocket Pair, talking about how Pocket Pair had released 3 games and Pal World will now be the 4th release. He's an engineer in the web industry and did all kinds of work, including starting up businesses, but eventually found his love for video games, bringing him back to the games industry. And after working on various titles, he has come to the point where he can work on a relatively large-scale game such as Pal World. But specifically, I want to scroll down to this, where they talk about the team. Mizobi saying, at the time of Crafttopia's early access release, one of the prior games, Pocket Pair had less than 10 employees. We started development of Pal World about 6 months after this, so initially there were only 3 to 4 members on the team. Furthermore, they were all newly hired employees, so Pal World basically started out with an almost completely different development team to that of Crafttopia. Then, a year later, we had about 10 people on board. In 2 years, the team suddenly grew to 20 to 30 people. And in the 3rd year, I added another 10 to 20 new members. We kept making the development team bigger as Pal World's completion seemed nowhere in sight. By the way, the art department makes up the largest portion of the team, including motion, background, and 3D artists. We also hired more than 5 new engineers for the project, so the team ended up being quite big. So it's very interesting hearing some of what happens behind the scenes on Pal World and their company, especially when you have so many people accusing them of using AI. It's particularly interesting because those same people claim they want to support artists, yet they're essentially falsely accusing innocent artists of being AI, of not existing and being AI instead, which just diminishes their work, and you may even argue is just blatantly insulting to them as well. Now, the final thing I'll add, going back to the designs, which I talked about briefly in a prior segment, but I think largely the designs are not that similar to Pokemon's, but there are a few like this one, which I think is a bit too close. Again, I'm not saying it's like AI or anything malicious. It could even be like well-intentioned, like kind of paying homage. But yeah, like there's some where I'd agree are very similar. But here's my main point about bringing this part up again. There's over 100 PALs. I think there's 111. And of the ones I've seen that I think are very similar, in my opinion, you're talking about like a handful, give or take. So an extremely small amount compared to the overall 111 or so PALs, assuming I got that number right. And yeah, I guess that's my final point on this. So ultimately, I hope you're all having fun with whatever game you're playing. Pokemon's cool, Pal World's cool in my opinion. I like them both. And I'm excited to see where Pocket Pair will go as a company from here. And also, this will shake things up in the industry at large, too, a bit, as kind of I discussed yesterday with all these AAA games companies doing layoffs and whatnot, and Pal World's success and the other recent indie success with Lethal Company. So it's definitely an interesting time in the industry. Consider letting me know what you think about all this in the comments. As always, I appreciate you and your time. And if you enjoyed this segment, please consider liking and or subscribing. It helps me out greatly. And on a final note, this video was actually quite a bit longer than I anticipated. Guess I had more to say than I thought, so my bad on that, but I hope you enjoyed this once again, and I'll see you in the comments and in the next segment.